Hello, and welcome to the Kindness Initiative's volunteer recruitment video. You will be learning the Why Kindness Initiative, who you could be helping, and the how you can be making a difference in our San Diego Jewish community. Please let me welcome Selwyn Isako and Robin Lichter to walk you through the process. After the video, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Thank you. And Selwyn, take us away.
I've been concerned about poverty, and finally, in the middle of 2019, we were able to get a study underway where the Federation, the Foundation, JFS, and Isako Foundation pulled a consulting group together of outside consultants and to answer a number of questions. First of all, is Jewish poverty in San Diego an issue? Who are the disenfranchised? What are the needs of these people? And why are all needs not being met? And how can the support system be improved going forward? And the consulting team then appointed a demographics specialist out of New York, Lawrence Kotler-Berkowitz, to determine what the parameters of poverty were amongst Jews in San Diego County. With this, Lawrence has done many of these studies in different cities across the US. And this is what he found, that there are about 9,000 Jews living below the poverty level, which, by the way, is defined as less than $25,364 a year. And that there were, in addition, about 5,000 Jewish households who were barely making ends meet, which is about another 12,000 individuals. So altogether, approximately 20,000 individuals in our community are financially insecure, which is about 20% of community households. Now, this study was completed at the very end of 2019. In fact, it was presented to us in early 2020. So it was before the pandemic, and we believe that these numbers are meaningfully higher at this time. So yes, there is an issue. The broader study found many key findings, and I've just chosen a few of them to give you a flavor of why our Kindness Initiative is structured the way it is to react to some of the key findings. The major key findings, according to our consultants, was that there was limited community awareness of the poverty issues. And this was based on inaccurate assumptions, beliefs, and biases by most of us. It found that poverty was much more pervasive than expected, and that there were diverse needs in the community. And in fact, in most households, there were multiple needs. If there was a need of the 20%, so as to say, there were multiple needs. And that the Jewish organizations at that time were not adequately meeting the needs, and there were many barriers among and between these organizations, and greater collaboration was required. However, they also found that there were many other local service providers and government benefits available, but not being effectively utilized by our community. And there were a couple of reasons for that. The one that's not mentioned here is that, unfortunately, in our culture, there's shame and concern and secretiveness about one's financial woes, and which is sort of ridiculous, because many of us are here to actually help, and by not coming forward for help, it makes no sense. But the major reason they found that these services weren't being utilized effectively was because it was so complex and difficult to navigate and access these services, particularly if you were, if what I could say would be emotionally impaired due to your financial condition, because there's absolutely a direct relationship between having financial difficulties and mental health issues such as depression and anxiety and all that leads to. The consultants also found that in the service delivery as it was, there was little empathy for those receiving those services. And even with all the outside services, there were still many services that were needed that were not available. In addition, the consultants found that there was no standard of care, no single point of entry, no information hub or easily accessible information hub. There was inadequate financial aid options available to those in need. And as a result, those individuals lacked confidence in the existing system of support. What they also found, the consultants found, was as they examined what other cities were doing in relative to poverty, that the more successful cities used collaborations rather than single source service providers. And in addition to all these findings, and there was a community convening towards the end of the consulting assignment where more than 60 people attended. There were many suggested projects that needed to be addressed based on these findings. So, and this is just an example, a visual of how confusing it can be. And this is probably less than a quarter of the options available in terms of services in the county. And it would be difficult for anybody to figure their way through this morass, let alone when you're in a compromised position. And the same goes for government programs. And this is just a small listing of the government programs that are available. And the one thing that I learned through this process was that if you're not careful, you think you can get additional benefits. And by getting that incremental program, you actually are in danger of losing the ones you already have. So it's very complex situation, and people in need help. So we took this study, we analyzed possible solutions to the findings. We developed a client service model and a comprehensive communal plan. We established implementation projects and prioritized them based on what we learned both at the community convening and through the consulting project. And to execute this, we formed the Kindness Initiative. And the Kindness Initiative's mission is to alleviate poverty in the San Diego Jewish community. Our vision is to have an efficient and effective framework to meet all the needs of vulnerable Jewish households, and to do it with dignity, kindness, and Jewish values. And I want to stop there for a second just to say that I personally did dozens of interviews of the people in the 9,000 category. And I would say that while every one of them found, at the end, I'd always ask them for the 5 or 10 major needs. And there was a lot of diversity among those needs. But as I looked at all my notes after all those interviews, what I realized is that these individuals were after the same things in life that you and I are after, and that is personal dignity. And so a cornerstone of our organization is to ensure and maintain and build the personal dignity of our team members, and I'll explain that in a second. And we do that by reciprocating the dignity, kindness, and compassion that they so richly deserve. So we do all of this and meet these needs through organizational collaborations. We do not want to reinvent the wheel. We look for organizations, whether they be Jewish organizations or not, and find services that our members can effectively utilize. And that's quite different from pretty much every other organization that deals with services and service lines. And we'll touch on that in a minute. We also focus on a large volunteer corps of caring individuals to assist in many different ways. And Robin Lichter is going to take you through a lot of the different alternatives for volunteering. And then finally, we're looking for innovative solutions to all of these issues, ones that don't exist, and we do not want to duplicate, we want to invent. So this is a crazy slide, but basically it touches on a few things. One is that we do not call the people we help clients or patients or poor individuals or whatever. We call them members. They become members of the Kindness Initiative. And we service our members like any good club or other organization might by making them the center of our focus. And so you see that red Kindness Initiative member circle in the middle. And around that are all the various services we look to assist them in. Unrelated to what we can offer, we find the opportunity for them to receive those services. And you can see that they range from navigation assistance to housing, health and wellness, employment, food security, financial aid, etc. And the items around the side, which I won't go into, are really the mechanisms which we use to bring those services to our members. The Kindness Client Assistance model, to which I referred a little bit earlier, is very simplistic. We look to identify vulnerable households, recognizing that many vulnerable households have not identified themselves, that we're looking for an easy single entry way to the support system. We identify specific client needs and provide relevant information to assist them in meeting needs, and then we develop a navigation plan, and then basically assist access to those service providers that could provide the services that meet their needs, and then monitor their progress. For this, we utilize our extensive volunteer corps. And volunteers truly are the backbone of this service model. There are 4 basic groups of volunteers, which Robin will explain in much greater detail. But what we refer to as angels, these are people who work directly with the member and assist them in navigating, in advocating for them, in providing them with personal attention and monitoring their progress. Ambassadors deal with the various service provider organizations that we embrace in order to meet the needs of our members. And those ambassadors basically are there to try and ease the access of the angels and their members and facilitate the services that are needed from those service providers. The third category are the various administrative roles that we have in our organization, from office administration to marketing to technical support. And Robin will talk more about that. And then we have what we call assignment volunteers. And these are individuals who would like to get involved in filling the service voids that exist in our local market. And assignment volunteers could either be in leadership roles or support roles. And when I talk about these projects, I won't go into any detail, but many projects were identified. We prioritized 81 of the various projects that were identified, and we categorized them into 13 categories, such as housing and food security and household basics and transportation, etc. You see that over there. But there are many projects that were identified. You might say, well, you're all over the place. But again, we are focused on our member needs. So these were projects that were missing from the landscape, if you will, of service providers here that we felt needed to be developed. Now, of course, we aren't going to do 81 projects ourselves. So we try to find the best organizations to assist us in developing those projects in their areas of expertise. And at this point in time, we have essentially outsourced to those providers about 35 of those projects. We have completed 12 of the projects internally ourselves. We have 7 more in process, and there are about 5 projects that will always be ongoing, such as developing the volunteer corps, which will always need to expand. And so there's 21 projects remaining, of which some are needed more in the near term and some later on. And those we'll get to, and that's what we need additional assignment volunteers for. So let me just go back to the membership. Being a member of the Kindness Initiative is absolutely free now and in the future. There are some eligibility requirements, such as being Jewish. And by the way, we define being Jewish as self-identified Jewish person and their households, whatever religion they might be, and anyone who works for a Jewish communal organization. We regard them as part of our Jewish community. And it's a very simple registration process online on our website. Each one gets a membership card to identify themselves as they move through their service provider organizations. And what we ask of each member is to assist us in implementing the case plan that has been developed by Donna Glasser and her case managers. And also to complete provider evaluations every time they visit a service provider, so that we get a feel for the performance levels of those service providers, and also understand whether and how the members are progressing on their plan. And then, just like we demand of ourselves, our volunteers, our service providers, certain standards, if you will, we also require sort of a member etiquette on how to deal with both the volunteers and the service providers. But there's no cost at all. And the benefits are pretty much as you can imagine based on what I've said. The case manager identifies the needs, creates a plan, and directs the member to services, to the sources of those services, our service providers. We assign an angel. We assign who work with the ambassadors to ease access to the service providers. And they also have access to those projects that we spoke about, such as pro bono professional services that we're working on, and as well as many other services that we have and we will be working on. They also enjoy the standard of care. So for us, living in a car is not a standard that a Jewish individual in our community should have as their habitat. They should have a roof over their head tonight, tomorrow night, next week, and know where they're going to be next month. that room should also have a private bathroom and access to a kitchen. That's an example of a standard of care. There's also performance requirements of our providers, such as getting responsiveness to the ambassador and the angels. And the other thing is that these members are treated with dignity, respect, and community support that many of them have not experienced recently. So if I look at the whole system, you can see where the Kindness Initiative member signs up online, gets together with a case manager, builds a plan, is introduced to an angel volunteer, and together the Kindness Initiative member and the angel volunteer work with different ambassadors. The example here is Interfaith Community Services, could be JFS, could be GAMAC, could be any of the organized Catholic charities, any of the ones that we've identified as being of benefit to the members, in order to get, in this case, it points to housing, maybe it's rent relief, whatever it might be. And maybe if you're in North County and you need some rent relief, Interfaith Services is a great place to go. So we'd work through the ambassador for Interfaith Services. On the other hand, as I said, there are programs being developed by the Kindness Initiative, not duplicative of good programs in our market and in our local area. And so you may be working through the Kindness Initiative for pro bono legal services or eye care or whatever, other services that we did not find available in the community. And that's the model. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Robin to talk a little bit more about the volunteer process and the issues that our members face. Robin?
Thank you, Selwyn. First of all, a huge welcome to everybody. We are delighted to have such a great attendance. The need is huge. So breaking this down into manageable bits and working together cohesively is so important for us to grow. And by the numbers Selwyn shared, there is the need that we will continue to grow at a very rapid rate. It's wonderful working with the team members. So I want to acknowledge some of whom are newer on board, but are so indispensable to the program. We have Jonah, who's our coordinating director, and we will address questions at the end that the relevant people will answer. We have Simone, who is our administrative director. We have Bev Pomensky, who is the angel director. Bev Murray Pomensky, who is the ambassador director, and Donna, who is program director and our key case manager. So we began because the need was so intense. There are so many people who are truly living in dire situations. And these are just a few examples that we chose out to just show you what's going on our doorstep. From the divorced mom with 2 children receiving no child support and her business is non-existent due to COVID, to the lady who's got 3 young children and during COVID, the husband has left her and moved, to a single male with 2 children whose wife passed away and he can't maintain a full-time job, or the family with 5 young children who are great supporters of the Jewish community themselves, and now their business has gone bankrupt. So we are dealing with very critical times. Moving on to the next slide. Just a few of the reviews that we have received from a few of the families we have helped. You'll see adjectives such as amazing, incredible, thank you for your kindness. You have supported me. You have come to my rescue. You've avoided me being homeless. You are a pillar of love and support. This shows you what's needed right here. As has been said, and we will continue to say, we rely on our volunteers as the backbone of this business model. A few very, very poignant comments and quotes over here. If you change just one life, you've changed the world forever. Let's move on. The process is pretty straightforward. You will go online to complete really a very basic application. Once you have done that, we will get notification of your interest in being a volunteer with us, and we will call you and arrange an interview. Obviously, because of circumstances right now, everything is going to have to take place online. We will do a Zoom interview with you, do all the necessary checking if relevant. We will establish with you what your needs, your interests, and your experience is, and we will onboard you. We will then provide you with a very extensive handbook, which I will detail a little bit later on. We will provide you with intense training. In fact, I'm very proud to say our training has recently been completed. We have 7 modules, and we will be sharing those with every volunteer that is now signing up with us. And depending on those 4 categories of volunteer, be it angel, ambassador, administrative, or assignment, you will be matched with one of the following categories: a member, a provider, a position, or a project. Starting with the angel volunteer, and that is the volunteer that deals directly with the members. Depending on your time available, we will match you maybe with 1 to start, or maybe expand to up to 3 members, and you will be directly involved one-on-one with your member or members. You are helping them in that maze of navigating services. You are advocating, coaching, and providing moral support. You are not giving them the advice. The advice is left to the professionals, and that's what the case manager does. But you are taking what their suggestions are, and you are helping your member navigate to become self-sufficient and accomplish all the goals that have been set out for them. So you will be their direct liaison. The way we're communicating is with a program called Slack. We're finding Slack a very easy, very manageable, and very efficient communication system. The members are not on Slack. It's a volunteer database in a sense. Well, not database, it's a volunteer communication by which we establish a means to share information between each other. And there are private channels where information is very, very discreet. We need to identify and appreciate and realize that confidentiality is of the utmost importance. You are dealing with people's life situations. We are not here to discuss this in the community. Everything is here to be handled with such dignity and such confidentiality. So our communication system has to be in line with this. You will develop a strong rapport with your particular members. You will keep in touch at minimum once a week, and you will update on their member Slack channel exactly what's going on in their case management plan. We are trying to make them independent, but they're not independent now. Circumstances have landed them in very unfortunate situations, and we're trying to help them identify the programs, the service providers, and get them to navigate through the process. The ambassador volunteer has no direct contact with the member per se. The ambassador volunteer establishes a relationship with the service provider organizations. As mentioned, it could be Jewish Family Services, it could be Gemach, it could be Dreams for Change. As we go on, we will be adding more and more service providers in the San Diego area, each of whom have their expertise and they have the services that they're going to provide our members with. But to understand what's out there in the community, we have to establish what they can offer us. So we assign ambassador volunteers to have a relationship with these service provider organizations. So typically, one ambassador will take on one service provider organization, and you will cultivate a relationship with them. You will become an expert in what they are providing, keeping abreast always of their new requirements and their new developments, such that we can then offer these to our members. You too will communicate on Slack, on the service provider channel, and you will continuously update what they are providing us with. So you will be a liaison with the service provider organization, and you will be in touch with the angel, letting them know what services your service provider organization can provide for your member. The next level of volunteer is the administrative, which is more behind the scenes, and it's truly based on your interest and your expertise. For instance, we need social media. We need people who can spread the word and get the information out there. You've got to realize that statistically, only 20% of Jewish San Diegans have any affiliation whatsoever with any Jewish organization, be it a school, be it an organization, be it a congregation. So if we're talking this number of people who are needing our services, 80% of them will not be able to be targeted through the Jewish channels. As a result, we need to have a great marketing strategy to reach out in different ways, be it blogging, articles, social media, other communication outreach through public relations. So an administrative volunteer might be somebody who has an expertise in helping get the word out. We also need data management. We need people to help with grant applications, compliance, to help as our volunteer base is going to grow and our member base is going to grow. We need more people to help with recruiting and onboarding and training. So the needs are huge at administrative volunteer capacity. The fourth volunteer capacity is the assignment one. Also, this will be based on your expertise. This one is possibly more of a short-term project, but again, the needs are huge. When someone referred to all these 81 projects, this is where we're going to need so many assignment volunteers. Right now, we are finding the most urgent need for housing. Housing is at an all-time low. Our members are struggling to find a roof over their heads. We are navigating, we're exploring, we're trying to be very resourceful, but we'll need somebody who could maybe make housing their level of expertise, that they're going to research the infrastructure of what housing options are in San Diego. Another thing that's in huge demand is finding jobs. We're establishing Kindness Works, which is an employment program. We want an assignment volunteer to go out to the community, find people to give us jobs to offer to our members so we can match people up. Maybe you have an expertise in resume writing and you could help our member develop their resume and maybe teach them good interview skills. We need so many pro bono services, be it medical, dental, vision, abuse treatment, pro bono tax services, accounting services, legal services. There are so many needs that we need to help people with. Transport is also another one for people needing cars or car repairs. The list just goes on, and we keep on identifying more and more projects that we are identifying our members are telling us they need. So to be an effective and efficient volunteer, I think there's some traits that we all need to have, and I believe we all have them. I would only imagine that you are here today because of your kind and caring and committed way. We need to be compassionate and patient. We need to understand that this is our members' agenda and not our agenda. We need to show them our commitment, our flexibility. We're working together as a team. Right now, we're all multitasking, but as time goes on, we will establish everybody's individual niche and we will become experts in that particular niche. You need basic computer skills unless you're helping us in something that requires greater than that. Basic record keeping. I think it's something that we're all very adept and very capable at doing. We will support you. We're not letting you loose and then you're on your own. We will provide you with very, very dedicated volunteer training. We will tell you what to do and what not to do, how to do it and how not to do it. to recognize if there is an actual emergency that you cannot handle and you need to refer to the correct person or people. We will give you in your training the background of which you've just had a smattering today, the whole process, your role, how you're communicating and keeping records, how to be safe and to collaborate, how to work with people. We are very fortunate that we have a psychologist on our KI team, KI being Kindness Initiative. He has done one of our training modules about successful and kind, empathetic and sympathetic working with our members. He is going to give us as many trainings as we want for now on Zoom, be they weekly or monthly, to help us and to guide us in working efficiently and effectively and kindly with our member base. Each specific volunteer group, be it the angel, ambassador, administrator, or assignment one, will have certain elements of training that pertain to their role individually. And once you've established, when we do the interview, when you've indicated your interest that you want to be a volunteer with us, we will direct you and we will provide you with a specific training suited to the role that you've identified you would like to take on. The online sign up, as I mentioned, is so easy. Our website, the www.kindnesssd.org. It can all be lowercase, that's fine. You will hover over at the top of the screen where there is a tab that says volunteer. You will click on volunteer application. And depending on the role, and this is actually not vital, you could fill out any volunteer application. You're not casting your choice in stone here. Simone and I will be following up with you when you've indicated your interest, and then we will identify at our meeting which one of the 4 opportunities you would like to take on. Selwyn, back to you.
Sorry, I'm muted. Thank you, Robin. Robin is a volunteer who's, I've had some experience with. We partnered on starting up Shabbat San Diego together, and she's just incredible, as you can hear. And she has taken on the responsibility in this chart you see of volunteer director. We are a movement, not a hierarchical organization. However, when we have the complexity of the issues we're facing, we need to have a structure. And this is the structure we operate under. And I know you can't read most of this. And the important thing is to see that there are certain employees, if you will, or independent contractors to us, and those are the dark purple ones. Everybody else is just a volunteer, if you will, or not just, is the volunteer the backbone of our organization. And what you see is Robin on the left, and Bev Pavinsky, who's in charge, as Robin said, of angels and data management efforts. The development director, we have not yet appointed a volunteer for yet, and we'd love one of you to volunteer to work with Jonah, Bev, and myself as and direct us as to how we can help in solicitations and grants. Simone, as Robin mentioned, is responsible for the administrative aspect, and you can see the various elements over here, from identification of members to oversight of all these projects, marketing and technology. Bev Murray Pomansky is responsible for not only the service provider organization that is developing every day and expanding, but also the ambassadors that work with those providers of services. And Dana, who we've mentioned as our program director, heads all the case managers and interacts with the assigned angels as well. So this is the basic organization structure, so you can just see how it all comes together in an organization. What we are doing here at the Kindness Initiative is disrupting the conventional wisdom of how to service these vulnerable individuals, taking it from a service-centric organization to a client-centric, or in our case, a member-centric organization. And in doing that, we're mobilizing the community towards kindness and consideration for each other, as well as for this for these vulnerable individuals. We are long-term personalized. It's a very long-term personalized approach which provides dignity, efficiency, and hope. And we're not focused on short-term solutions, or or otherwise you're out if you don't follow that. Our objective is to create self-sufficiency in each household that we work with. We're addressing, not avoiding, service gaps. We're reaching into the shadows of those individuals who have not come forward in the past, and not accepting that Jews opting out of the system when they can be helped. We are working together through collaborations. We're not protective of any service line that we happen to offer because it's not currently available. We're here to minimize overhead and costs, not to expand infrastructure. We will never own a building. We are not accepting funds that constrain our mission of focusing on Jews and their families, or the types of services we offer. So this makes us really quite unique in our marketplace, in our market of San Diego County, but also for most cities. It would be silly of me not to mention that obviously the sponsor and donor opportunities that are available, because this is the heart of our ability to service our clients. And we have large lead sponsor opportunities, and you can see how we've listed them here, and terms and recognition programs are available upon request. But we also have, traditional donation programs that are online or through the Jewish Community Foundation and the deaf trusts that are established there. We have some giving societies based on different levels of giving. And then we have what we think is a rather unique approach in an adopted kindness family sponsorship. So here we identify a specific family and associate them with a specific sponsorship, starting out at $360 a month. And there's a commitment for 12 months. And some are much higher, and many of them are just at the $360 level. But when you consider that many of our members get a total of $850 a month plus food stamps to live on, when they get an additional $360 a month, it is life-changing. And we take no overhead costs, we take nothing out of that. There's, even if you pay on PayPal, they charge you a few percentage points. We make that up so that that family gets the full amount. And then, of course, there's the other ways to give. We love to see more cars being given, securities, etc. So donations and donor opportunities continue to be a big part of this organization. And so we're asking you to join us in addressing Jewish, not Jewishing, but Jewish poverty alleviation in San Diego. Our basic feeling is that nobody should feel alone and uncared for. And we love the saying that the greatest sin is to do nothing, because you can only do a little. It is far better to do a little, however small that is, an hour a week, a project that might take half an hour or whatever, it doesn't matter. or $36. It doesn't matter. It all counts. So we ask you to join us in one, identifying potential members, as Robin indicated, a difficult part of our project, although we have not had difficulty in people finding us thus far. We'd like you to join us as a volunteer and donate your time, or as a sponsor or donor. Or if you can't do any of those three items, just by demonstrating personal kindness to others, not just this group of vulnerable individuals, but to each other. And then to help us amplify our message and encourage others to participate either as members, volunteers, service providers, or donors to the Kindness Initiative, all focused on the membership. And so with that, I'm going to open up for questions and discussion. Simone, can you make that happen?
Yes, if anyone has questions, please either go ahead and write them in the message box or unmute yourself and ask away.
One of the questions we often get is, well, how much time is there devoted? And it really is whatever you would like. It could be as an angel taking on one family or individual. It could be a project that is short-term. It could be an administrative project that can be done in the evenings, an evening a week. You let us know. We want the more people that are involved in the Kindness Initiative, the better it is for everybody and for our membership.
Can you meet in person?
That is up to, you mean in terms of meeting as a volunteer with one of our
Members.
staff?
Like if you were helping a member on something?
Oh, absolutely. You can, that's between you and the member. You can do whatever you would like. The only time that we sort of restrict that meeting is between in the donor program and a member who does not want to meet their sponsor. And we do have some of those, and that's fine. The sponsors react favorably. Some of the sponsors want to remain anonymous anyway. So, but when you talk about an angel meeting with a member, that is up to you.
Like in real person, not via Zoom, like real people.
Yes, absolutely. There's no restrictions as long as you're comfortable and the member is comfortable.
We do have some angels where both them and their member have had the vaccine and they both feel comfortable meeting, so that has happened.
Good question.
If anyone does not want to ask questions now and they would like to email and ask questions or email and discuss, my email address is simone@kindnesssd.org. I'll put it in the notes. And also you can find us on the website.
Simone?
Yes.
I have a question. So if I want to volunteer in a certain capacity, like a specific capacity, actually, I would like to tutor kids that are struggling with math because I really love helping kids with math. How would you go about finding that?
Well, we would ask you to register as a volunteer because there are forms that get signed during that process that have to do with the confidentiality. And during the interview between me, you, and Robin, we would unpack that and see where and how, and then we would match you with those children. That need help.
Thank you.
And just to add to Monica's question, she's raising something that we maybe hadn't identified or hadn't prioritized, but it is clearly something that's needed to maybe help the kids who are struggling educationally. So there might be other projects that others of you may be thinking. We are totally open to suggestion. We're new and we're growing, and we are excited by new ideas, coming our way.
I wanted to add one thing and just thank everyone who participated, taking an extra hour out of your day, because I think a lot of us are spending time on Zoom. but also just to appreciate the fact that you are interested in serving our community and making things better for all of us. If we help one, we help everyone. And I'm excited to meet some of you in the future when that's possible. And if you, again, if this isn't right for you, and that's fine, please let us know if there's someone else who it might be right for, and we'd be happy to work with them. We want to meet people where they are and help them do the things that they're good at and want to do.
And in that vein, I think, many of the positions and activities would be relevant to kids in high school or in college. So, if you know others who may be interested in social media or whatever it might be, please don't let age be a restrictive element to your suggestions.
Well, in keeping time, we are at our hour.
Great.
We do
Any other questions? Please feel free to contact us individually at any time. We are most interested in your interest in Kindness Initiative, and we just so appreciate the amount of time you spent with us, your interest, and we hope that what you've heard you will relate to others in our community and try and encourage them to at least listen to possibilities for their involvement. And with that, thank you so much. Have a great evening. Really appreciate your participation and look forward to talking and meeting each and every one of you. Thank you.